Welcome back to another Nature's Always Right episode. I'm Steven of Nature's Always Right, and I'm here today in Kentucky to interview Jen and Zach Stivers of Styver's Homestead. I did a little tour video with them that you guys can check out here, and definitely check that out to see all their gardens and their animals. But I also sat down to do an in-depth interview with them to find out more about how they got into homesteading and some of the trials that they've had here starting a homestead, and lots of great tips for everybody who wants to start their own homestead too. So let's get into it and start the interview. All right, so I'm sitting down with the Stivers of Stivers Homestead on YouTube, and I just wanted to sit down with you guys and get a little more personal and find out more about your story and how you got into all of this. So tell me about you guys, about your family. How many kids do you guys have? Sure.
Yeah, we have two so far. We recently decided to expand.
So far.
You know, God willing and all that. Nothing happening yet, but we hope to have at least one more. We'll see where it goes from there. But we do have two. Our daughter is 4 and our son is 6. Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah, 6 and 4.
Yeah.
Nice, a nice young beautiful family.
Yeah.
And you guys are homesteaders now, and you detail all of that on your YouTube channel. So I wanted to know, how'd you guys get into this? What drew you to it? Why'd you get interested in this movement?
Me. So we've always been a little different, I think, but really it was Jen that did the pushing to really make me convinced to do it. I've always grown up as, I guess, the stereotype of country boy, but that we didn't do a whole lot, honestly. We didn't do a whole lot on the land. My great-grandfather did, and I always looked up to him as a hero and just as a man I wanted to be. And so he did tobacco farmer, cattle, and different stuff like that, very traditional Kentucky farmer. But then once he passed, it kind of died around here, but we all still lived on the land. Then when Jen and I got together, it's always been her dream to live like Little House on the Prairie. Yep. She's always jokingly said that, you know, that's what she wants her life to be, is Little House on the Prairie. I say joking, but halfway serious. Yeah. And so we started talking about it more and more and more. And then the pole barn, which is what our house is, came into play, and that really was our first step in this direction. My stepfather, this was his dream to build a pole barn house, but my mom wasn't on board for it. And so we were, and that started it. And then from there, you've got a couple chickens, and that's the gateway drug into homesteading.
You're addicted after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So what are your growing goals, and you know what kind of animals are you raising?
So so far we have 4 goats, close to somewhere-ish 30 poultry with chickens, ducks, and guineas. We actually just ordered our first meat chickens and turkeys, so we're going to start getting into the meat department. It's not something we've done before, but we're pretty excited about it. We have rabbits, which we use for fertilizer on the garden, 4 dogs, a cat.
And a partridge in a pear tree. No, but some of our goals, like she said, we're getting into the meat animals. We're very close to feeling like we're sustainable when it comes to our vegetables and our home preserving. So we would like to see the garden continue to expand.
Yes.
Learn a little bit more about rotation gardening. So like this year we did really well in cucumbers and tomatoes. Tomatoes will always grow, but like cucumbers specifically, we might not need to grow those next year because our canning might last us 2 years with the amount of cucumbers that we grew. So when you're in a small space, well, I say small, but you know, we don't have acres upon acres that we can dedicate to garden. Those are some of the things that we need to start thinking about so we can really be 100% sustainable, which is our goal. So that's why we're moving to meat. So that's one of our biggest goals is to learn that for next year and get the meat up to 100% sustainable.
Yes, and gardening goals, we want to be able to grow as long as we can throughout the year, which is why we're doing the hoop houses and the greenhouse, and we do some growing indoors with microgreens and stuff like that.
Love a microgreen.
But the goal is to not focus all of our energy on waiting for spring, you know, and waiting for that summer garden. We want to basically garden all year round because you can, you just have to figure out different ways to do it. And that's a huge goal to where we're not just, you know, focused on only that summer garden. We want it to be as long as possible.
Right, and we push and teach people how to not to get burnt out.
Yeah.
And because it's easy to get burnt out when all you do is garden.
Yeah, that's right. Fantastic. You guys, sounds like you got a lot of great systems going on. I was wondering, what type of gardening techniques are you using? Is there sort of a gardening book or teacher that you're following, or combining techniques?
Hey.
Yeah.
So currently we have 7 raised garden beds. We also do a lot of trellising and different stuff on the lines of that. And then we have a very big, well, not very big, but we also have a tilled garden. So we've touched a little bit of everything. Our tilled garden is fine. It's one of those things that we ran out of garden beds, or raised garden beds, so we didn't want to stop our growing. So it's one of those things that we just did. But we naturally compost it, and we do everything organic and natural as we can. Especially when it comes to all the fertilizers and stuff that we use. But we have raised garden beds, and then we get very DIY when it comes to trellises and how to garden on a small amount of money, on a budget. So that's one thing that we like to push with people, is you don't have to go spend a bunch of money to grow something, especially organically.
Yeah.
You can do it all affordable.
Yeah. I'd say our biggest learning, like how we've learned to garden, is experience.
Yes.
We have been gardeners for probably 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And the first 4 of those were a complete fail.
Yeah. Well, like we would have one thing.
We got zucchini.
Yeah, right.
A lot
right.
of zucchini.
Right. So, and a lot of that is, it's not even the fact that it was completely crazy things that we weren't doing, but it was like we were planting in mud.
Yeah.
And so we weren't treating the ground or waiting till the right time to grow.
Right.
So like that was a quick thing we learned. But that killed your plant. And
We didn't pay enough attention to it.
right. We let weeds take over.
Yeah.
And so then we learned how to control our weeds and different stuff like that. So
We
it's
didn't
those
have
little
a
small
fence,
steps.
so rabbits were eating everything.
Or I would try to build it out of chicken wire that was
Yeah.
2 foot tall, and everything would just jump right over it.
It's like, every year we've learned more and more and more, and it we're still not master gardeners by any means. There's a lot that we don't know, but we can grow something successfully, and that's where we're at so far.
Right. It's frosted and we still have peppers.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. There's just so much to learn. It's just an endless journey of learning. And kind of touching on that, what has been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned from having your own homestead now?
Sure. So one of our biggest things is our house, because when we say homestead, we don't just, it's everything, right? So we're trying to be completely off grid to where we're using solar or wind. We haven't decided, or both.
Yeah.
For our electric, but we do composting toilets. We have wood burning stove as our heat. So one of the biggest lessons learned was our house. And a pole barn, it's all tin. So that means in the summer it heats up like a tin can, and in the winter it freezes. So we wish we would have done more insulation. So we wish we would have double-studded walls, because now we're trying to backtrack and fix that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest lessons learned. And the second thing, when it comes to outside, it's very important to look at your land. If you're looking into buying homesteading, try to find something that maybe has some fences or some pastures already created. Definitely a barn or some form of outbuildings is extremely helpful to look for, because doing it all from scratch, you're going to spend a lot of money to get minor things that are necessary. But I would say that's kind of the biggest lesson learned. It's more of just looking at your land instead of just saying, I love all the acreage. See if you can use every ounce of it. You definitely don't want to buy something and only have a couple acres that you can use on a 100-acre lot.
Yeah, agreed.
What would you say are the most important animals to your homestead right now?
Sure.
And then do you have any tips for us for raising those animals?
Most important, I don't know. I have favorites.
Well, they all have a job. So they all, everything here, we don't get an animal unless it's going to do something successful for our garden or for our homestead in general. So like we don't have a horse, as you can see. Right now, we don't see any use in having a horse besides fun.
Kids want one, but...
Right, and now unless something just truly benefits you and you can touch it and it makes you feel good, then yes, go for it. But we try to have everything that has a purpose. So actually getting to your question, like I love our guineas. I think our guineas are great. I see them on top of a house right now, just kind of doing their thing. But the guineas are great predator control. A lot of issues that people have, especially with chickens, is snakes and possums and raccoons and feral cats and stuff like that. Those are the things that are killing people's chickens. It's not coyotes and these big things that are tearing down people's chickens. It's small things. So it's hard to prevent those from unless you're just live trapping. But guineas do that job. They scurry everything out and keep your chickens safe. So I love our guineas. They're not obnoxiously loud. You know, you've been here a while. They were as soon as you first got here, but they've calmed down.
They're pretty quiet now.
Right.
Yeah.
They have a delicious egg. They usually give you a double yolk almost every time you eat them, and they're great.
Yeah.
For animals, I highly recommend electrical fencing all the way around. I'm very pro that. We use solar powered battery for our electrical fences. This Premier One fencing, and it keeps everything safe. It actually prevented a bobcat.
Wow, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about in the winter? It still charges? It's fine?
Yes, it still charges great. It doesn't take much to charge that battery.
Chicken fight.
Speaking of the guineas,
Yeah.
so in the winter it still charges really great, and then in worst case scenario, if it does die, it does come with a plug-in charge.
Yeah.
If you needed to do so, but it does great.
Yeah, I think our goats are important.
Yes.
The most important. We do have, like I said, we have meat chickens coming, and I think when they get here, they'll be the most important. Our goats aren't old enough to get milk from yet, but they are milk goats. So I'm very excited about that and being able to have their milk, make cheeses and all kinds of stuff. And
Just drink it.
I think that's going to be huge for our homestead.
What are some of the bigger mistakes that someone could avoid if they want to get into this lifestyle? Is there anything you could tell us to help us?
Biggest mistakes to avoid.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Like finding your land or,
Right,
or
so
starting your
that's,
garden or something.
That's a big question. To be honest, I take it more of a personal thing, like
Okay.
your whole mind and body kind of situation. So a big mistake that people do is they jump in face first into the pool and they buy a bunch of animals or they get a bunch of things and they have extremely high hopes that everything's going to succeed.
Yeah.
It's not. That's the ugliness part of homesteading. It's not even ugly. It's a learning experience every step that you take. So I think the biggest mistake that's going to happen for everyone is to know that you're going to fail. You're going to have failing times, and it's going to be okay. You're going to get through it, and you're going to learn something from it, and then you're going to do better the next time. So just expect to fail, and then to succeed afterwards.
I love that, man. I try to tell people that too when they're learning gardening. Like, it's guaranteed you're going to kill plants. It's not going to work out.
Right.
But you go through a couple seasons, and man, you really start to get traction and figure out what to do, and you start living a much healthier, more fun life.
Yeah.
Exactly. For sure.
We've made a mistake a few times of getting animals before we were prepared.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's always something to watch out for, especially when you first start your homestead. You get so excited, you see these chickens on sale, or you see somebody's trying to get rid of their goats and you want to rescue them, and we've done it. We've done it with a lot of animals, and sometimes it's turned out okay, sometimes it's turned out terrible.
And the worst animal to do that with is a pig.
Yeah.
Because that's what she did. We came home and there was a pig and I had nothing to put it in.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So always make sure that you have your structures set up
Yeah.
before you get clearance animals.
Right. Don't put yourself on a timeline.
Yeah.
Smart. I love it. Oh, that's funny. So what is your guys' favorite thing about this new lifestyle now that you're doing this?
What do you think?
What do you love the most about it?
The freedom.
Yeah.
I feel accomplished and free and happy.
Yeah.
I love what our kids are learning. I love our health benefits of everything that we're doing. I love knowing that if I was to lose my job or not have money, we would be okay. That's the things I like, because like I said, we're mortgage free. We might get tired of pickles, but we have food to eat. We have all the things that we need to succeed, and I think when I go to bed at night, I feel so accomplished and happy of what we're doing because of the freedom that we have.
I agree.
Beautiful.
100%. And we homeschool too. We homeschool our kids, and having them here with us every day to wake up and be on the farm, and them go outside and feed the animals and eventually be able to milk the goats, and it's a lifestyle that you can't really understand unless you're in the thick of it. I mean, I knew we wanted it before we had it, but I didn't know how much I would appreciate it once it was actually here.
How much it actually meant to us.
Yeah, and it's just the way that you feel, like you said, when you lay down at night, Some days you don't get as much done as you do other days, but every day you accomplish something because you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, the animals have to be fed, the garden has to be watered, and there's never a day when you can't say that, you contributed to your homestead in some way.
Yeah, and I'm pretty pumped for us to have like 10 inches of snow and then go clip salad greens.
Yeah.
That's like my big winter goal this year.
It's pretty exciting.
Right.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that video. All right, I got one more question for you guys. if you could only grow 3 vegetables for the rest of your life, to eat and live on, what would those be? What are your favorite vegetables?
Sure.
I'd say zucchini.
Yes.
Because zucchini is so versatile. I have frozen zucchini. I have zucchini bread. There's other things, you know, you can take it straight from the garden and fry it up for lunch or saute it for lunch. There's just so many things that you can do with it, and it's filling and it's healthy for you, and you can preserve it in so many ways. You can can it, freeze it, make bread, you know, whatever.
And she makes the world's best zucchini bread, so I would agree with that. So yes, definitely zucchini. I would have to say you got to go tomatoes.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that it's so versatile too.
Yeah.
You can slice it and eat it. You can make it sauces. You can do all kinds
Chili,
of things with tomatoes.
salsa, you know, just stewed tomatoes, tomato juice.
Tomato soup.
We have so many tomatoes
Like
that.
Forrest Gump right now.
Yeah.
All the different ways to eat shrimp.
Anytime this winter when we want any one of those things, all we have to do is pull it off the shelf and it's already there. So.
Oh, bug attack.
Here we go.
So
One more.
One. I've got cucumbers in my head, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say cucumbers just because I love a fresh cucumber.
Yeah.
And I love pickles and I love relishes and different stuff that you can do with cucumbers, especially. So I would probably go cucumbers, but that feels very boring.
Yeah. Well, for us, we make a lot of pickles, and you know it's hard to get kids to eat vegetables, but our kids love pickles. So they're eating vegetables without knowing it.
There you go.
Kind
Yeah.
of thing. So, and Wyatt even loves them fresh. I mean, he'll pick one right from the garden and eat it. So that's, I'd say that's probably.
We're going to leave it there. I'm not going to go on and ramble more. 'Cause you said 3.
Cool. I like those choices. All right, you guys. If people want to follow along and learn from you guys on your homestead, where can they find you online?
Yep. So we have a YouTube channel, Stivers Homestead. On Facebook, we also have a Facebook page called Stivers Homestead.
Yep.
And then Instagram, it's Stivers_Homestead. We're very active on all 3. YouTube, of course, we have all of our free videos on there, all kinds of instructional stuff that we give, and also just a little fun and laughter. We like to smile and laugh while doing the work, because it's if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Right.